Stay tuned to the Ask Dr. Ross podcast. It's created to give you info to succeed at college. Our hosts are highly qualified. Dr. Catherine Ross is a member of the University of Texas System's Academy of Distinguished Teachers. She's also a popular professor of 19th century English literature. Ask Dr. Ross is a community service of the University of Texas at Tyler.
Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Rick Helfers, who is the chairman of the Department of Social Sciences, and one of his students who has been an undergraduate student. She's now a graduate student in criminal justice, and her name is Aubrey Fagan. So let's start by talking with you, Dr. Helfers, a little bit. How did you come to your professional involvement in criminal justice and social sciences at UT Tyler?
It's probably an interesting track. So when I first completed my undergraduate degree, way back in the mid to late 80s, I started a graduate program, but I quickly realized it wasn't for me at that time. So then I entered into a policing profession. So I worked in policing for about 12, 13 years, and then I realized that I wanted to get my graduate degree. So I got a master's degree in public affairs, and then I continued on after that with a PhD.
Were you still working as a police officer during that time while you were doing grad school?
I was, yes. So I was working more than full-time because it was well more than 40 hours a week, but I was being promoted along the way also. So I was pretty occupied. I was taking it very slow, so I just did a couple courses a semester, and I wanted to make sure that I fulfilled my responsibilities at the police department. And then I was able to earn the PhD. And when I was eligible to retire from the police department, that's when I started looking for a career in academia.
Let's back up a little bit, though, and let's talk about policing and also what your degrees were in. So what was your day job with the police department, and where were you working?
I guess I was a sergeant at the time when I first started graduate school. So I had a master's in public affairs, so I earned my MPA degree. And at that time, I was also being promoted to lieutenant and then to captain. I had various assignments, whether it was patrol, whether it were investigations. There was times that I was in the services division also. That would be with the records, detention, communications. So I basically had a broad-based experience as a police officer.
So would you have been the cop on the beat when a terrible crime had happened, and you would be there just like they show us on TV with all the lights going and the yellow tape being stripped around? That was your life for a while there, huh?
It was, yes.
Is your PhD in public affairs?
Yes, it's public affairs, public administration, very, very similar. It's an MPA degree.
Not criminology or some other area?
No, because when I decided I was going to earn my graduate degree, I was already in a supervisory position, and I believe that the MPA degree would help me advance. Then during that time, because I was at UT Dallas, then they were awarded the program for the PhD in criminology. So I just continued on. Once I graduated with my MPA, I just continued on. You just can't get enough education.
Well, I agree with you. Part of our job here is to help people understand what you might study if you were to be in your department. What kind of coursework is involved in criminal justice and public affairs for folks in your field?
So in criminal justice, you're going to get a broad-based education through policing courses, corrections, some law courses with understanding the courts, administration, theory, research methods, and then there's many different concentrations that we have also. Like if students are interested in Homeland Security, they can take that concentration, or juvenile justice. There's a myriad of different concentrations we have to try to reach the needs that students have. One of the areas that we have right now that's really gaining a lot of traction and notoriety is our crime scene complex that we have, which is on the North Campus. So we're able to simulate real life type of crime scenes to give students firsthand experience of what it would be like at a crime scene.
I know a little bit about that on our campus because I remember coming into my building one day and Dr. Danielle Bailey had bodies and red stuff all over the lobby, and there were little tent-like things with numbers around. It looked to me like she was creating a very gory crime scene, and I bet it was fun.
I wanted to take that class, but I wasn't able to because all of the forensics majors got first pick and there wasn't enough room.
It's my understanding that social sciences covers a lot of fields, and so you have an interesting grab bag of academic disciplines. And if we could talk about that a little bit, and then we'll go into criminal justice and hear a little bit more about how Aubrey's doing with her studies in that field.
Yeah, the Department of Social Sciences is multidisciplinary, meaning we have many different disciplines within that department, such as the social sciences major, which that would encompass sociology, anthropology, and geography. And then students take courses in all three of those disciplines, but they also then concentrate in one of them. Then we also have economics and social work, which is a newer program that we have that's really growing. We do a lot now with our social work students. And then also at the graduate level, we have a master's in criminal justice and then also a master's in public administration. And those complement each other, that students can, say if they're a criminal justice student and they're interested in public management, they can take their electives with public administration. And just the opposite, if they're in public administration, but they're really interested in criminal justice, like if they're working in a criminal justice agency, then they can take their electives at the graduate level through criminal justice.
So it sounds to me as though you're sort of a place where some really important public and social and really cultural even issues are at play, and I would think that would be a really exciting area to study. So Aubrey, tell us a little bit about yourself, what your background is, and how you moved into this particular department.
Yeah, so I did my first 2 years of college, my associates at Kilgore College, very small junior college. And then I transferred to UT Tyler for my bachelor's. Starting this, I had no plan of going to grad school. I wanted to do 4 years and be done. I didn't want to be in school for that long. And then it was proposed to me. I believe I was taking your ethics class. It was mentioned, and I just thought that it was interesting, and why not do it? It's only an extra year because in the 4+1 program, you start at your senior year of undergrad and then you finish it out the year after.
What that means then is that you're getting a master's degree and a bachelor's degree after 5 years, basically. I think we have that in several of our other departments, and I think it's a really good idea. You're kind of mixing up in your senior year, taking graduate level work. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how's that going for you?
I already did that. That was last year. I did my senior year and starting grad school. It was hard. I had 5 or 6 classes, my fall and my spring semester. And with it being my senior year, I was taking my research methods. That has a lot of research in it, very big coursework. So all of it together was hard. I had to have a lot of self-discipline to get my studies done and turn them in proudly, I guess you could say. You had to put the effort into it, but it was doable. We got it through. It was a big sigh of relief whenever it was done and I graduated.
This is a common theme we get. Students come here and they want to get through as fast as possible. And then suddenly this terrible thing happens, which they discover that they really like to learn. And also that learning, good deep learning, isn't always fast. It takes a lot of concentration, as you said, a lot of self-discipline. But something has happened in your understanding about what you're doing here in the higher education. I'm betting it had something to do with this fellow over here and the way he teaches. Would that be the case?
It would, yes, ma'am. One, he's not an easy professor. He might look like an easy professor, but he is not. He was the hardest professor I've had here so far, but he pushed us to do our absolute best. I would turn in papers where I was like, yeah, that's 100. No, it's not 100. But I don't know, I feel like his push and motivation to want us to do better, wanted better for myself.
So he saw potential in you and helped you recognize it. Don't you think, Dr. Helfers, that a lot of times that is our job, is to help students see who they really are and what they can do when they probably haven't even imagined it yet?
Yeah, I think that's a big role that all faculty members have, is just to be able to set the standards and recognize the potential that students have and allow them to grow. One thing that we didn't hit on with that 4+1 program, everybody thinks about, in regards to the dollars, the economics that's involved. And that's the benefit of the 4+1. Basically, they're taking a quarter of their graduate degree as an undergraduate, and they're only paying for it at the undergraduate rate. So it saves them money.
Tell me this, what were your courses last year? And I know you said he's hard, but hard teachers are kind of good, aren't they?
Yes. So after taking his first ethics course, that was my first really hard class, in my opinion. And after going through it and seeing that I can do it and that his hard grading was reasonable, and whenever I got through it and I got done, I was like, well, if I can get through this, then I can get through more. If I can do this, then I can go farther.
Was that course famous in the department for being like that?
I'm not sure. I don't know if anybody else struggled as bad as I did with it. It wasn't more so that it was hard. It was just tedious. There was a lot of work, and he paid a lot more attention to detail than other professors did.
After you took his ethics class, or the ethical principles that he had trained you to think about, did you see them everywhere when you were reading and doing other work?
I feel like right after and during, I would look for them, but I would see it on my social media or just what's going on around the world. And it was good to be able to put those principles into meaning and apply them to the real world.
And that's excellent, because that whole class is about thinking. That's what I try to get students to do, is just to think who they are, what they know. We start off the class in the beginning of the semesters. What are your values? And it's okay if your values change over the time of the semester or the time of your lifetime. My goal is for them to take real life skills away from the class and use those skills tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. We really focus upon the pillars of character. And if that's one thing that can take out of that, they'll really be able to think about and reflect upon their life, their thoughts, their actions, and be able to think about that every day, and just to make us more ethical.
It fascinates me, too, that after, I guess, 20 years or so in active police work, that this is where you are today, that you are as ethical and concerned about our citizens' quality of their lives as ever before.
We can direct this question to both of you, but maybe we could start with Aubrey. What drew you to the social sciences and particularly to criminal justice? And what made you realize that this was the degree that you wanted to have, that this was for you?
So I changed my major twice before I landed to criminal justice, and that was just partly because I was being lazy. I didn't want to be in school for a long time, so I didn't want to go to school for 4 years. And then I quickly realized that education is worth the time that it takes to earn it. And my stepdad was in the military for 22 years, and outside of that, he was an investigator. Just hearing the stories that he would tell us, it just really interested me, and I like the idea of doing good in the world and helping other people. And so I just one day sat down and was like, I'm going to change my major to criminal justice, and I'm going to go all 4 years. My original goal after graduating was to go to the FBI or the Secret Service. Right now, that is not what I am doing. I am in social work right now. That might still come down the road, but as of now, I'm not sure if I want to do that anymore. But that was the main goal.
And so what initially drew you? I know you said you were a police officer for 20 years. So what was the inspiration behind that? What made you realize that that was what you wanted to do?
My inspiration is very similar to many others that are in public service, whether it's policing or government. And I see that with our students also, is that there's something that's much greater than ourselves, that what we want to be able to do to contribute to society. So our citizenship really comes into play, that we just look for something that's bigger than ourselves and want to really contribute.
I've said this before, but one of the purposes of this podcast is to help folks out in the community. What is it that we really do here? And again, what I hear as we interview folks from different departments is we want to make it a better world. We want you students to have a better life. And we see it as a job of learning how to think and how to take yourselves and the world more seriously. Now, we do have to talk about some tangible things like, how am I going to pay my bills after I get out of college? So what are some of the professional tracks that students in your department go down?
There's a myriad of professions that students pursue through criminal justice. Many of them go to law school. There'll also be many of them that will pursue a career in policing, which policing right now is struggling for good recruits. So we try to get them ready and prepared and being able to be successful. There's also others that go into probation and parole. Some work within the courts. Some go into the nonprofit world also. There's just so many different areas in which our students are able to pursue.
The folks that do economics, I can imagine, might go into the business world.
Economics is an excellent major. It also provides a big opportunity for students. They could go into the business world. They could go into private business. They can go into banking. They can work for local governments. They can work at the state governments.
Now, the folks that do the anthropology, sociology, geography track, are they most likely to go into grad school? There's also a social work program now in your department.
Yeah, we have social work. So some will graduate and go out to be social workers right away. Others will go to graduate school to get their master's in social work. With the social sciences majors, those take a myriad of different approaches also. They can be working within local government. We've had some that graduate and they're working for the state or working for a local city within different departments. Some also go to graduate school. We're putting out some really good students.
I'd like to know a little bit about what are some of the courses besides ethics that you've taken, Aubrey, and tell us a little bit about what you study and what you enjoy the most about it and things like that.
My focus in criminal justice is Homeland Security and Generalist. So I took Homeland Security focused classes, a couple of those, and then the rest were more general. I've taken juvenile justice classes, drugs courses, theories, some pretty interesting ones. Probably my favorite courses are theory courses. I had one with Dr. Wooldridge. I cannot remember what it's called, but the whole course we just analyzed these individuals who in society had done really bad things, and you just analyzed their behaviors, and most of them you wrote papers about it. But just being able to go super in depth and analyze their behavior and what might have caused it and how the justice system reacted to it. Also researching it, you get a bunch of different perspectives. But I would say the biggest takeaway from criminal justice in itself, going into it, I want to go to the FBI. So all the cool things that they did, but that's not really what I learned here. It wasn't so much knocking down doors, seeing all the cool things they do, but more so being able to identify the cracks within the system and how to fix it, how to speak up whenever something is not right. You learn a lot about what's wrong with the criminal justice system, not more so how it is right now is fine. And so I feel like UT Tyler and all of my professors have really set me up to go into a job being able to identify what is wrong.
And also what's right.
Right. The most interesting classes I've had were the hardest classes because those are the ones you learn more in. Because it's hard, you don't know anything about it. I would say like my GIS course, Geographical Information Systems. Pretty much any map that you look at, your GPS, that's what GIS is. We had to go in and create our own map that goes down to putting the trees on the map, putting the rivers on there, the stop signs. So it was very tedious. Very hard because I know nothing about that or technology.
But there's great use for that, I would think.
Yes, ma'am. I know that a lot of policing uses GIS.
You know, when you're talking about having real life skills, that is a course that's highly recommended for all students, regardless of what discipline they're in, because Aubrey mentioned it's used in policing, but it's used in local government. If you're working for streets, you're using GIS. You're working in the parks, you're using GIS. It's used all over. So it has value to know those skills and be familiar with that is a way in which to, separate you from somebody else as you graduate.
Dr. Helfers, what is one of your favorite courses to teach, and what's one of the assignments you give that a student might look forward to?
Well, then let's look at a graduate course. I teach a policing course that's called Law Enforcement, Environment and Practice. And what I like that I'm instituting this semester are infographics. What is it that students have learned? Now they put it visually of what they would be able to advertise to somebody else. There's no one way in which to do it. It's just use your own creativity and develop it. I don't want students to take my course and think that this is exactly the way that Dr. Helfers wants them to think. I want them to be able to use their own mind. I don't try to teach anybody, what to think. It's how to think. It's not just taking something out of a book and then just regurgitating it. It is looking at that and how it applies in the real world.
And that's why I would say his class was so hard for me, was because I feel like your famous words to me are, in every single assignment you have for him, and I want you to be thinking deeply. And so my first paper I turned in for him, I thought it was so good. It was not. I made a very bad grade, and it was just because I didn't think deeply about it. I just took surface level. I didn't take it further than what I should have.
This is one of the common things. High school is teaching you a lot of facts and things. You're kind of skimming along the surface. College is getting to that much more deeper processing. A lot of students don't even know what that looks like. They don't even know how to do it. And it's only by pushing you harder and maybe giving you a grade you didn't want to get. You probably learn more from that lower grade than you ever did from an A+ you got when you just worked on the surface. Where are you right now in your studies, Aubrey? Are you getting close to being finished?
Yes, ma'am. I'm set to graduate next July with my master's. Right now, I'm taking a seminar. It's kind of like your whole degree put into one. You do your research, you take this test. It's kind of just a general class. It doesn't teach you one specific thing.
It's general, but it's at a much higher level, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's the place where you start pulling together a whole lot of threads. Do you want to add to her description of your seminars there, Dr. Helfers?
Yeah, it's just that it is not as structured as another course that you're going through a book and it's one chapter after another after another. It's more engaging and has assignments that it goes back to being able to apply and develop those real world skills. That's what we want. We want students to be able to walk out of our programs and be able to address these ill-structured problems, because the problems that Aubrey and others are going to face in their careers are not well defined that you're going to find in a textbook. They're going to have to pull all this other stuff in and be able to think about it and have an open mind and be able to realize what's the best solution, because there's more than one solution to these problems.
So you've got a seminar.
I have seminar, and then I have graduate research methods. That extends into next semester also. So that is another big research project that I will finish out next semester. And then I'm taking contemporary criminological theories with Dr. Wooldridge. I've already taken a bunch of theory classes, but I've just noticed that my grad classes are a little bit of what my undergrad was, but obviously bigger assignments, but it does just go deeper and explains it just a little bit better and more in depth.
One of the things I think it's important for folks to know about is how often we teach research. Would you like to talk about the importance of students learning how to research and what's behind that urge in academia, Dr. Helfers?
Well, research is so important because it allows us to explore questions that haven't been answered yet. For social sciences, we look at social phenomena that are out there and what's a different way in which to look at it to try to get a little bit closer to the truth. So a little bit for every study moves us just a little bit closer to a better understanding of whatever that social phenomena may be. We're using the scientific method, so it's not just thinking that something is true. We have evidence to back up our findings and our statements.
We teach students how to assess data. We teach students how to find the data. That's one of the hardest things.
Thinking of that 18-year-old who is getting ready to come to college and is thinking about what degree they want to have. from both Aubrey and Dr. Helfers, like a student and a professor perspective, what advice would you give them to help them be successful coming into this program, or to know that this program is for them?
I would say come in with an open mind, really be ready to learn new perspectives, a new way of thinking about things. Again, you need to have self-discipline. You can't not come to class or not turn in your studies. And I do procrastinate. He gets on to me all the time. I feel like the one thing that's gotten me through is my school's the most important thing to me. And just pushing through, and also wanting better for yourself, wanting those good grades, because it is rewarding to graduate with a really high GPA or receive that A on a paper from a professor you didn't think you could do. It is hard, but it's so rewarding and so worth it.
The one piece of advice I would give to any student, whether it's coming into a major in the Department of Social Sciences or anywhere, get to know your professors. Go to the professor's office hours. Just introduce yourself. Get to know the professor on a personal level also. It just makes it so much easier for students, because that way they're not afraid to ask questions in class. They're not afraid to challenge an answer on an assignment or an exam, because we want to have those type of conversations with all students. So one thing to ensure a student's success is to come to see their professors outside of the classroom during their office hours, or just anytime, even when there's not office hours. We're on campus all the time. So just come by, knock on the door, and pop in and say hello.
It shows the professor that you care about their discipline. And I tell you, it makes professors be more interested in you. You're being your own best advocate. Dr. Helfers, Aubrey, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And also a thank you to our listeners. If anybody happens to have a question about college life, about social sciences, about criminal justice, we can send our questions to Dr. Helfers and to Aubrey and get those answered for you. So leave a comment under our YouTube video, or you can email us at adrquestions@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.